continue. What else? I think we're good to go now. It is recording. It is screen sharing. Sounds good. Okay. Let me try to drag this over so that I can mark the PDF up. All right. So I think I have Andrew as the first one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I did compare your current one with the one from a day ago, 2 days ago. Um, I think the parking lot, the current layout may have been misinterpreted from what Stuart suggested. I do see the conundrum here. You were trying to stay away from this line. And at the same time, you're trying to orient this toward the building entrance. And that becomes hard for you to fit all these parking lots in. If we do start from somewhere here and align, now we still want to try to avoid parking lots over here. Let me try to see how to make this work if I want to keep it simple as the Blake type of so if I do this, I'm coming in. Right now this is 25. I think it's a little wider than 25. Feels like it.
What's that?
So this looks like it is 20.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that's definitely wider.
This is
I just didn't have enough room to like fit another row in, and I was trying to make a path for cars to like drop off by the entrance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then
So
this one, the drop off would be something like that. If you want to drop people off and then go back and out like that. So, okay, let me try to clear and start over here.
yeah, I might have misinterpreted the criteria, but I thought the plaza had to be like 40 feet or something. That, like from the building.
You meant if I have a drop off here, then it will eat into the plaza. Then you can push this backward a little bit. So I think that's a less of a problem. We're trying to get a more standardized, yes, we're trying to get a more standardized parking lot design. So the circulation of the parking lot itself is very simple and very easy to navigate. And then the other components we can be a little flexible. Try to move other things to accommodate the layout of the parking lot itself, right? So you have very much flat room here. So I do think you could start the parking lot over here and push these a little closer. Make these 25. And then it's great to have an island in between so that you can drain towards the middle. So maybe then this will become a little larger over here instead. So then that sort of this area aligns with uh, the 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 drop-off area. Let me reduce the thickness of my line here. Then we have another row of the parking lot over here, and then 25 feet, we should be able to fit this in. Even if you need to go a little bit into the 50 feet distance, that would be acceptable. And then we would align that with your driving aisle over here. And um, then we do need to have another 25 feet over here and see if that's possible. Should be okay. Yeah, it's getting a little close to the road, and then that might be less ideal that way. So, okay, that means we probably need to utilize some of the area over here just to give a little room in this area. And then we would have that and this. I know I'm not drawing, this might be a little thin, so move it over like that. Once you have it measured, we need 10 parking lots over here, 10, so those adding all together would be 40. And then you assess how much distance there is for this one. And once you do that, we might be able to suggest a few smaller changes later on, but this seems to be the way to go, at least for this round, because we're trying to aim for that orientation and utilizing kind of the wider and flatter area here.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I was thinking of making the entrance drive like, I don't know, like curve north, so I would have more room where the parking lot is.
yeah.
Um, what do you think about doing that compared to starting the entrance drive further north? I think it would have to be, is it 100 feet away from that intersection?
Do you mean we're here?
Yeah.
I don't think that would kind of substantially change your solution. You would still need to use this portion of the flat land to do the entry drive. And compared to doing this and doing that, I don't see a clear benefit
Okay.
because essentially what we need is room over here, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now as long as we stay away from this line where it really start to get steep, I think we should be fine. Even if we have to get to this line, we we could utilize a short retaining wall later on to attach the contours. But I would aim for laying out the 10 and 25, 10 parking lot here, 25 feet, and then 25. Oh no, 10, 20, 20, 25, 20, and knowing the narrows, the minimal width here, right? You could even start with not having the island and then see, oh, how can I increase the width of that island later on, just to get to know kind of in an extreme situation what's the best way to place my parking lot if I want that wide kind of the width kind of in this direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
I do think there's no benefit of moving it over there, but there is some benefit of aligning this line to the steeper slope based on that contour and trying to increase the area over here. So then you would have a relatively spacious tunnel kind of a intersection over there.
Okay.
Okay, sound good. Um, Later on, you would still need to work on this area and find out, oh, maybe I don't need 50 feet. Then we could. We want you to keep that distance at this point, just to give you a limit. Um, but there's a possibility that will later on will allow you to get closer to the tree, um, up to 30 feet, 25, really depend on your design in that area. So for now, we don't want to do that just yet, just to make sure that everybody actually will have room later on to fit in a swell that actually diverts water. No, we know that there is a small butte over here, right? We want to try to divert water away from your parking lot in this direction, and you need space to do that. So this is to prepare for later drainage issues. Okay, I hope that gives you a good direction. If you, again, during the duration of the time here, any revisions we'll be happy to look at if we have time. Okay, I'm
Thanks.
gonna move forward. Yeah. All right. Let's see. This is Sun Deeps. It's definitely a big change from Tuesday, and
Yeah,
it looks beautiful. Looks
the
really good.
but there
Okay.
is a few issues. I had to compromise the 50-meter offset from the greeneries.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. The tree.
On
Definitely, the
yes,
tree is an issue.
I can. I have like five. I think 5 meter. Yeah, I'm opening the drawing. It's on my computer
So
is being
let's
very
go
slow.
through. Right. Let's go through the questions. No need to worry about this area just yet. I can see a few ways. You have 50 feet over here,
Yeah,
and you have a some. I know you could actually leave your drop off in this area. So instead of enlarging over here, you could change your design over here, and then make people know once they turn here and they see the building, they get off here. That's also an option if you need to. But I wouldn't make the design just yet like that. Because later on you can if you find out that the grading in this area doesn't work, you could systematically move these things to the south side. Um, the safer, okay, the safer change would still be, I would push this to the side and then make some room that is about 10, 20. Okay, about 20. So you will have about 10, yeah, about 10 feet. You can move about 10 feet over. And I think that would be enough.
I can also remove the aisle between this how to between this area over here.
Oh,
Sorry for
that one I would advise for you to keep for now, because it's likely that you will drain to your, all the water in the parking lot will drain to your island.
oh
Now you have some room here, that's good. This can be a garden, that can be a garden. If you end up having to drain toward this area, that would actually create a lot of drainage. And ideally,
no, we cannot drain to that side. I think we have to all goes to the northeast side, the slope or the southeast side. That's how the site is sloped.
yeah, the parking lot can fold any way you want. So in some designs, in previous years designs, students have drained kind of outside, create gardens over here and create gardens over here, which we don't recommend because we're draining. This was higher than the parking lot in original in the natural grade. So we suggest that you drain in this direction. If you have an island to break the impervious surface, it will actually help with the drainage issue because now you're not kind of concentrating all the runoff from the huge parking lot to a small area here, right? So
Yeah.
I would recommend keeping the island over here. And So you have enough space in this one and that one for draining your parking lot, and kind of inevitably you later would have some gardens over here to drain your driveway here. And then I would think that with this big green area inside, all that could drain into your green island inside.
Oh,
So narrow this down for now, narrow this down for now, and later on you there's a
but
potential to move in this direction as well. We would not recommend putting that walkway there. So you gain some space for kind of getting rid of that walkway as well,
yeah,
because people tend not to walk in that direction and then go into your building. They see the building, they get out and they walk the shorter way. That's
okay.
yeah, that's very commonly human behavior. And for now, I would not. I think we're still later on. We still need to think about where the ramp connects. So let's leave the plaza as it is. But otherwise, it's looking really good.
Uh, but I am confused with providing drop off on this area. Like, let me take the green color.
Here.
Blue color. Okay. Over here, yeah. If I am, uh, if I am putting drop off on the car, I don't know how to do it actually.
In
Of
the
course,
curve.
yeah.
Oh,
If we can,
you would straighten it, right?
yeah. So you can see that I make it very simple and straight line. The all the parking, all these are aligned one another. So somehow, yeah. But design
So
cheating, or you can say that. So this line, all this one all are parallel, and then make the bus stop here, the car park here, and yeah, sorry, bus drop off, and then car park, and then car park drop off here.
so what you would need to do is to straighten that line,
Okay,
right? Yes, straighten that line, doing this, and then kind of enlarge that one until you have enough width,
okay.
and then extend over, and then
Then
follow through. Yes.
yeah, and then add these 20, 12 feet on top of 27, and then adjust it. So I can, so this buffer is, I can go up to 40 to 50 feet, not necessarily keep 50 feet, right? Means
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
means what how far we can go actually. Yeah, that those buffer is a big constraint here. These two.
Um, so it's the short answer is actually dependent on your drainage design later on. I would think, let's see. I think the best advice that I can give you right now is actually to look at the rubric. Okay, let's see. Um, the rubric states, give me a second, follow all these rubrics to, I think we removed, yeah, the minimum of 40 feet between the building and the drop off was removed. No development within 50 feet of existing vegetated area for now. So we do need to create that 50. So on the south side, you're close to 50, and I would get rid of the walkway for now. And in order to get that third 23 feet on the right side, the way to do it for now, in order to not create further problem for later, I would still suggest that you revise the drop off in order to create that 23 feet.
Hmm.
Yeah. and realize that things are bound to be changed again once we start to think about drainage. So we're trying to come up with a solution that, without any deduction of points for this exercise, you won't be needing more, kind of reverse your designs for multiple times once you get to the point of designing the drainage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, uh,
Yeah.
I get.
Okay.
So then the point two is the slope behind the building over here. So I have found it's already 20% slope. It's the
Oh, any
yeah it's
newly designed slopes cannot exceed that. Any existing steep slopes, you don't have to consider that.
yeah, but if it is already 20% and my building, if you zoom in, you can see the building is, we have to go maybe around 25 or 1 is to 30 for this part,
I
or
do.
we have to make the building higher, maybe
What's the max
four
slope allowed for this
four
part?
5 feet.
Because this exercise does not ask you to do any contours yet, can you point to me where?
No,
I
it's
don't
not
think that
mentioned
matters at
anywhere. I
this
mean,
point.
okay, so do we need to worry about this slope of this part, or we can just
Not yet.
keep it
Not yet.
for, okay.
Yeah.
No, there is a solution. We can make the building 2 or 2 feet high, or yeah, then we can manage it without touching the existing contour. The solution
Yeah.
Stuart was giving, the upper floor can be little bit high and the lower floor will be adjust, can adjust the lower floor with the according to the existing slope.
So your FFE, the top FFE right now is a wild guess, I would say.
Yeah, it's like
It's,
the contour, whatever the contour is coming at the entrance level.
yeah. And I would tell you it will be raised later on to create some more, to make your, I would say, make your bottom FFE, the back plaza elevation, closer to existing elevations. So right now you have 1097, and 1097 is actually over here. Where's my pen? Huh?
Yeah, it's far beyond the,
Hey, where's my pencil? That's strange. Yep. Yes, 1097. 1097 is over here.
yeah,
And that distance, if we want to keep 1097 somewhere over here in its natural elevation, you would expect your lower FFE to be 1098 or even a little bit higher than that, and that's a more reasonable estimate. Um, but you don't have to worry about that right now.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then I have a confusion with the turning radius. I
Okay.
have marked few turning radius. If you can confirm that.
So do you need to change or increase and change these rear radii? It looks a little strange here though. Um, so for the five, it refers to these smaller ones.
Yeah,
But for the yeah, for this one, it's more like what I drew just now. And you had a 17.5 right over here.
yeah.
And then you would use that to offset 25, to offset
Actually,
whatever drive.
I offset from the center line, keep the center line 30 for the car, and then offset from that.
Yes, yeah. But basically, it's using offset instead of using the same radii. Does that make sense? Instead of using the same rounding radii.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other?
But if we are doing this thing, I have a issue on this part. If I can reduce the radii for the outer circle, then I can get a more room over here to give the path, like, oh, I'm talking about this area and also the this area.
These
So
are
if I
five.
can,
These are five. These
yeah,
are small, yeah, smaller ones.
but
And
I,
actually
I'm talking
this
about
needs
this.
to be yeah, yes, yeah. These cuz cars won't be driving there. Um they follow the curve, right? No, and then this small area left over will just be collecting trash. So you might as well just make the curve
Okay, I get it.
being the
I
yes, being the offset of the this curve that you originally designed.
mm, I have those. I also have a large space here. Yeah, sorry, I have space here. Okay,
Yes, you do.
and then I think that's all. And just the drop off dimensions, not very clear. That I have found the dimension for the buses like 40 feet drop off and then 20 feet in front and 20 feet behind. But for car, I don't know how much. I kept 8.5, whether it is sufficient or not.
For this one, use buses.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this particular dimension, 8.5 for the car drop off.
Let me clear this. And the 8.5 refers to this.
Yeah,
I think
no, if you
the
zoom in, we
dimension
can.
given by Stewart was 12.5 or 12, right?
No, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the this distance.
Oh, that distance.
Yeah, I think.
Honestly, there's not a lot of great guidance on that one. So if you could find a drop of design in a manual using that dimension, then you're good to go. But well, based on what you drew here, the proportion actually looks good to me. So we couldn't. I know that Stuart and I we looked for a good guidance manual for drop off design for a while, but we just couldn't find out a really good example that we can basically provide directly to
Yeah,
you.
the time saver standard don't have very proper car drop off.
Yeah, I would recommend. Right now, it looks like you have a 45-degree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that works pretty well.
okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay. Good work.
Thank you.
Glad to see that. Yeah. All right. This is from Memmar's work, and just want to see if you are here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So I looked through your previous design. I think it's an improvement. Right now, there are a few issues that we need to tackle. The first one is that we do need to specify the design of the parking lot in terms of parking stalls, right? And you're right now using the standard blade design, basically meaning you have parking spot here, parking spot over here, two kind of double loading, and then parking spot over here. And you would need, well, no, make this longer. Then you need a smaller number on this side. So the first thing that I would recommend that you do is to get specific about these dimensions. So right now, the the relationship between all these components are correct, are really good, but we are um, concerned about. So the size of the drop off looks okay, but the parking lot is not the true size yet, and we still have to stay 50 feet away from that, right? So it's likely that you'll have to change your drop off to this direction. I know we're getting close there again. Okay, let me start over. So you would do something like this and then get specific about this area, how big that needs to be, and keep the distance over here. Likely your plaza would not go directly to the below floor because we have 10-foot difference. So you might have a plaza that does this and then another plaza that's separated from the first floor plaza. I would say the relationships works well. Uh, make more use of the flat area in this area and get specific about the dimension of the parking lot, and then um, you'll be getting closer to what we ask for exercise 1 final submission. So that's some general comments. I know you have a few specific ones. I'm thinking of having a drop-off lane run alongside of the parking lot. Do you mean this? And that's because we are limited by the distance
I
here. I would
actually meant
still
I meant at the other side, like have it run
here,
down.
right?
No, opposite that.
Here.
Yeah, like have it run along the edge of that side and then up until the plaza space and then have a mini drop off there or have a drop off there.
You're probably very limited in space in this direction. In this direction, you're probably pretty limited in space. And I would also say, when you see a building, then you start to want to get off, right? And that's when people start, okay, turning here. Oh, I see that, and let me get off. It's the same kind of, I'm driving in a bus. Oh, at this point, I see the front of the entrance. Let's get off. So these are kind of natural locations for placing drop off. Here, you're forcing people to get off along a main kind of a main drive. Um, it's not unacceptable, but I would say it uses more space where space is limited, and it elongates the pathway that it takes to get to your building, which we could argue people needs to walk, that's okay, but I think the major limiting factor is actually the distance that's necessary and the lack of space along this direction we have for this site plan.
Okay, yeah, that
Make
makes
sense?
sense.
Yeah. Okay. And a better one, if you really want to put it on the side, a better one is actually here, where you can have people drop off here or and there, and then okay, they're connected by a big plaza, right? If you want to have a plaza space doing this, then I'm walking down here, and then I see the direct entrance to the building. So this location would be better than that location.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the retaining wall. Looks good. Drop off spot not too wide, and we said this would be about 100 to 110 feet in radius, right? Oh no, in diameter. So the size looks reasonable to me. But do double check if it's actually over 110. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Move forward. Okay, thank you. Now, moving forward, line weights definitely too heavy for your vegetation line, so please seek help in the CAT room later on. Correct sheet size. For the final one, it should be 24 by 32, I believe, but I'll have to check the dimensions on the exercises. Let's see, 24 by 36, yes. 30 scale, 24 by 36 landscape orientation. And preferably, not preferably, actually you should have north pointing up. Yes, that's right. So, let's see. The main thing that I see here is this parking spaces being partially. Get rid of that one. Okay. Let me annotate here. Move these to the middle so that you have double loaded parking. So that means these will be moved over here. And let's see, we have this coming down over here. That's good. The other things look okay to me. It is only, yeah, it is only the double loaded parking that was not as efficient as we could have. Okay, let me get rid of that box. Okay, come on. My PDF is acting weird. Okay. Yeah, so drop off works okay. I would leave some room in between here as well, because you know, if you follow the drainage conversation, you either, so this is the parking lot that we have. We either drain to the middle green space. If the middle green space is not enough, we have to drain all the parking lot on the side, meaning that there are three locations that you need to have space. One is over here, one is over here, one is in between your parking lot and your drop-off area, right? So right now, I only see space over here, and it makes the only option for you is to drain everything to this side. But you have a butte over here as well. It's also draining in that direction. Apologize for the thickness of the line, but you get the idea. We want to break the parking lot into small pieces and drain those smaller amount of water into separate areas as much as possible, right? Now we're actually draining so much water just to the side. So that's going to create difficulty for you later on. So revise the shape of the the layout of the parking stalls, and try to leave some more space, green space in particular, in this area. Ideally, also in the island area. Okay, and that's okay. One more thing. One more thing is that we need to make, I don't I because I don't see the 1 foot contours here, it's hard for me to say definitely you need to move your building away, but what needs to happen is the distance between your drop off and your park off and your building needs to be bigger. Okay, you do need to have a space, enough space when you drop people off, and then other people are walking in front of the plaza, so that space needs to be there. Right now I'm seeing about less than 10 foot there, so that's not enough. Okay, any other questions about this design?
No, that should cover it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's it. Good. Keep moving. This one, Jalen's, right?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes. Okay. Let me clear annotations. So, I see some changes from Tuesday. That's good. The Y-shaped drop-off needs to be changed, and I think the alignment. Okay, the alignment here works. And then we have a drop-off, and then would need to change that intersection there, that T intersection over there. And I understand there is a difficulty to fit all the parking lots in a double loaded parking. How many do we have now? I think we have more than needed. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Oh, you have more than needed. In that case, if you have more than needed, then I would suggest that we get rid of, try to make it like, yeah, there's a, we want this orientation to be like this. So for you, I'm actually thinking the curved parking lot is not a bad idea. So we have these, and then we have some over here, a few over here, and then we use that curve. I know, okay. Let me see. Yeah, I think you have more than necessary, and then curving is not a bad idea for your layout here.
Okay, thanks.
So you would do this, and then yeah, we're running out of space a little bit again, but not until you measure it out. I'm doing again estimating may not be accurate at all. So yeah, that's wider than necessary. And then we may be able to finish that there. So then your drop off will be somewhere here. And yeah, there's still some room for us to move that line down there. So then you would have, if we need to, we can drop a couple, maybe 1 or 2 spots over there. Then you would have a good plaza space or green space, and if possible, adding a little bit, 6, 10 feet here, even 5 feet may be too small. I would say 6 to 10 feet if possible for the island in the middle. And that also creates a little bit longer, longer intersection over here. Like that. All right. Well, I definitely see some improvements over Tuesday. But try this curving idea, and I think it actually works better for your design there.
Okay, I can just sort of use any arc as a template, or is there like a minimum or maximum curve?
Say that again, please.
So if I make a curved parking lot, is there like a max shape it would be? Well, I guess there's enough space. Never mind.
You could try to, yes, you could try to mimic that that curve there. Yours will be only very slightly curved. It wouldn't be like this. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Your retaining wall would most likely be in this direction. You wouldn't necessarily, unless you're creating separate plazas at the bottom, you wouldn't necessarily need all these separate retaining walls. And your stairs, right now it's only kind of illustration, right? Demonstrating where likely it will be. You need some stairs of some sort, not on both sides, depending on where you have the room. You can decide on putting it on one side, or you could decide on, I'm just gonna create a very attractive type of steps, using that even as a kind of a display space, something like that. That's for later. But right now, we just need to know where stairs should be roughly placed, and where retaining wall should be placed to create that 10 feet difference. but because the difference is between here and there, you only need to show that I would have retaining wall on both sides of the building in some manner. Okay.
Okay, so the stairs, I think I misunderstood. So it was just, it's not from the outside, like just the back stairs. It's like from the bottom floor to
From the
the
top floor to the bottom floor.
Okay,
We would have a room, have a way to go out here and go down the stairs to the bottom plaza.
okay, I got it.
All right. Okay. Anything else? All right.
I had a question, like where the purple and the green dots are.
Right.
That's
Stacking is from oh, stacking is how people could come on. Stacking is where you stack your car. That's from here to there, where you are allowed to have another opening.
okay. I didn't know if it was like from the inside of the curve is where it starts.
Oh, it's always from the center line. Always measured from the center line.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Gonna move forward. This is Roshin's work. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
You here? Okay. So, other than the size of the drop off, I think this for now works. So, and we don't need to have so many walkways, as we kind of you can have walkway over here, which makes sense if especially if you have a garden design over on the north side, but we don't necessarily need that. And I don't think we have enough space here. Distance, we kept 50 feet away from the vegetation just yet, and realize we have a lot of flat space over here. So the whole thing, no, once you measure that 50 feet away, I think the whole thing is to be moved in that direction. And you actually have a lot of space, because this is your long side. This is the shorter side, narrow side of your parking lot, right? And you can curve this driveway as well to create more space in here, right? The size of that, it's too small. We'll need to make it larger, and utilizing the bigger space over here. Again, measure out 50 feet here. Otherwise, it's smaller things. The bigger things, the buffer area. Smaller things like turning radius. Again, we only need that much space for car to drop off and drive away, so that those corners does not collect trash. Once you have measured out your buffer, if you have room, put a green island in here. Okay, so those are, let me clear this, and you would have an island like that. Make sure you round everything correctly, and that rounding radius would be bigger because we're in a driving, instead of here it's smaller, right? But these turning, again, those corners that with a very small turning radius will just be collecting trash. So use the same turning radius as you used for the other major driving areas. All right. Yeah, those are the things that I can see now. That's it.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay. we're going to move forward. This is Kyle's. Nope. This parking lot entry better. And is this drop off okay? The only thing that I would recommend for this drop off would be, designing for a flatter portion. No, a straight portion here to allow people to stand. So that could be a straight portion as well. And this could be, so basically you would try to create okay. This island, honestly, if I have the space, I would put it there because that's relatively, let's see, we're going, oh, okay, I take that back. This one may still be collecting quite a bit of water, so I would make this a little smaller so when I drive, that distance is shorter, but this one is longer. And basically I'm trying to drive and then kind of turning or tilting into my it's not drawing very well. Tilting into my drop off. And then this one be a little bit longer and straighter, and then flow out. Right, this is a little narrow than necessary, right? This area would be wider than that because you're trying to allow two cars to do the still being able to maintain two aisles of driving and then one spot for parking the car. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so that area I would try to keep it have a straighter portion and then enlarge this area so that you had 2 plus 1. Only this one would be narrow because that's just for a parked car, and these two are for the two-way kind of circulation as normal. So that's that. I think other things are working well. Are we dropping off here or here?
I just
Or all the
extended
way?
the
Okay.
I just extended like the patio around the turn so that like you could drop off anywhere.
Anywhere. Okay. Yeah. I could see inevitably later on this will be enlarged to collect water. Otherwise, the design works well. But no, in order to keep your to keep up with the rubric of 50 feet, let's not make those changes just yet. I believe right now these are 50, right? They look like they're 50.
Yeah, they're right up against it.
Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, other than this portion, I think everything else looks good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Keep moving. All right, this is Aaron's. Aaron, are we here?
Yes.
Okay. So it's probably there's some details that can be changed, but the yeah, okay. So have we measured this distance between the vegetation? Oh, that's huge. we measured this distance? If we haven't, let's try to make it 50. And I see other things being needing to round this, right? And that's a smaller thing. I know it's probably left over from, you know. So that needs to be a 50-degree turn. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have counted, it needs to be 40, and then have a drop off. You have that. We could tighten up this rounding this turning distance just to emphasize we have a 90-degree turn. Otherwise, I think this looks good. Make sure that this is 50. There's a little bit of disadvantage of not utilizing that flatland, but I think otherwise, well, maybe if this turns out to be less than 50, you systematically move this portion over in that direction, then you would be on a flatter land. Okay, and let me read through your questions as well, just to not forget anything. What's the recommended radius for the entrance and turns? Do you mean these?
Yeah, like where you turn into the parking lot actually. Like is there a certain like
This one?
obviously not 90 degrees, but is there a certain radius that it should be?
You would not use the curve, but instead you would just you would round these, right? You would round that. You would round that instead of specifying that radius. You lay out a center line from here to there, and offset that, and then round these two corners based on what is over here, and then that should do it. Does that make sense? So, operationally in CAD, as you have done here, you have the center lines laid out like this. So if we're doing 90-degree, this is our center line. And then we offset by 25, making this 25. And then we round this based on that. And these do not need to be rounded because they are connected directly to the parking lot. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Should this building be rotated perpendicular with the parking lot? The building looks okay. It needs to be relatively parallel to the contours. And does the turnaround needs to be, yes, two-way. Turnaround needs to be two-way because there's always someone who drive in the wrong direction, and you need to accommodate that. So that needs to be a two-way driving out. What I would recommend doing is to use the turnaround design from 250 to 35 from last semester. Okay, so those are the right dimensions for this portion. Okay. Anything else from here?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Moving forward. All right. So, okay. this will be from Joseph. You here, Joseph?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. So does this turnaround work? The concept works. Again, let's use the 235 turnaround and put it here. Retaining wall, you might not need a retaining wall here, but this is for later to decide. Very likely you won't need it, but you do need this one because there's a 10 feet difference from the front to the back. Again, you wouldn't necessarily need the retaining wall to start early, but instead needing this portion. Need stairs or ramp. The stairs, it's not for the entrance of the building, it's for the backyard of the building, so that's good. You don't need a pair of that, only one of those. Ramps actually needs to go from the front to the back. Okay, so you could indicate some kind of ramp to the back. If we use a 5% slope, that ramp is actually about 200 feet. So however you want to do it for now, basically you need to zigzag 200 feet from the front to the back. Finding a design, you could do, I want to go this way and then go that way and then go this way and go that way, or you can do curving. No, it just, that understanding of the ramp being on average about a 5% going through 10 feet of vertical difference, so it needs to be on about 200 feet. That needs to show there. Okay, a few other issues.
Yeah, I had a. You can keep going.
Go ahead.
I had a question about the parking lot, like if it would have enough spots, because I don't have a I only have like one strip going down.
Right. If you need to count whether you have 20 on each side, right? If you don't have 20 in each side, then you need to make it longer. Make it longer, meaning that not necessarily following that direction. You may need to turn. You may need to turn a little bit like this to make it longer. But that one now single loaded parking idea is to, however you rotate it, you would be able to connect back to the main drive. So it's only a matter of assessing whether you have enough length, where you put it, and then making the connection here, right? Like what Aaron had in his drawing a minute ago. So it should be an easy adaptation if this length is not enough yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, would I be able to turn it the other way to follow the drop off curve? No.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Like almost like flip that drawing that you have right now, following the drop off.
Following the drop off.
Basically having like that parking lot mirrored to the other side.
Oh, you want to try to do, well, that's doable too. That's doable too. Okay.
Just so there's not so much space in between the parking lot and the drop off.
I don't necessarily see that being kind of the route to make it work. If you have, well, we're getting into a little bit of the steep area here, which is probably you would want to do this. That's your drop off. And if we don't have enough space, you would rotate your parking lot this way and then do that, right? And then kind of connect like this. So I think this solution is also a smaller change from what you said about flipping, right? If we flip though, we would have the parking lot be on the flatter side and having probably, I don't know, even if we have to go big like this, and then having the other drop off like this. So it's a very similar solution. This way you could run into steeper area for a parking lot in that area. So I'm not convinced yet that you have to flip it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You
how?
still have relatively, yeah, you still have relatively flat area in this area to fit your long parking lot.
Yeah, so we don't have to be 40 feet from the building anymore, right?
Right, that's right.
So how far should we be from it?
If you have 25, then you should be good.
Okay, because I can make because the parking lot right now is 40 feet away from it, so I could move it up
Yeah,
to.
we could move it toward this, or you could curve it even more toward that side. So to make it longer.
Okay.
Yeah, space should not be a huge hurdle here. All right, so the first thing, let's measure this, decide whether we need to rotate or whether we just need to push it forward to the building. If we need to rotate, we'll basically do something like this. And the next thing is to move a portion of that driveway a little bit away from the steeper side and utilize the flatter area here a bit more. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Um, we have Ryan's drawing here. Okay.
Yeah,
So the single loaded parking, you would need to flip, not, how do I characterize it? Move the parking over here and let the middle be the driving aisle. So you wouldn't have a driving aisle for each load of the parking, right? We're utilizing more space in that way. So this is the driving aisle, and on the side would be your parking spots, right? And then we need to start rounding things. That again, we want to try to utilize more of that flat space. So let's turn it over a bit. Even if that's not enough space, we would turn it that way. And then the connection needs to be like this to your driving aisle. And that needs to be enlarged, or okay, for this area is actually going to be a turnaround, like what Ryan and Joseph just showed. Okay, there's a there's a turnaround in this area. You'll run into the space issue as Joseph did, so your solutions will look very similar unless you want to try a different parking lot design. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, let me take a look at the questions here to see if we actually addressed all of them. Yes, the entrance looks weird only because your driving aisle is in the wrong place. The sidewalk between the drop-off and parking lot necessary should be taken out. Once you have switched to the relationship where you have the driving or the parking spots over here, and you created some more space, this area actually needs to be at least partially green for the reasons of treating the water, treating the runoff, right? And then you could have a sidewalk if you want. No, just to enable people. If the driving aisles, driving stalls, parking stalls are here, then no. Now we can make it all green, unless you want people to walk over to take a look. Okay, that's your design choice. Functionally is not necessary, but if you have a really good garden created there, you might want to at least create a portion of the sidewalk over, for instance, in this area, to enable people to at least take a look, right? So that's that. And if you have a very spatial, a huge garden created in between these two, then definitely let's do walkways, um, no, even bridges that could enable people to get to these units. But no, we're not suggesting or saying you have to do that just yet, because we still have to fulfill sort of the space issue first. Once you have a solution that works, you could push forward and say, let's make it a better design. But first, we want to make it functional, at least. Okay. Okay. Let's see the other ones. ADA, yes. No, ADA spots. Basically, you would need to hatch. So that's 1, 2, 3. Hatch this portion. That's the ramp, where the ramps comes off. This whole thing is one ADA. That's one ADA. Only the ramps in between needs to be hashed. Okay. That's that. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. Move forward here. What's going on? Okay. Let's see. Now we have Haley's. Weird PDF. Okay. So should I add another exit here for my parking lot? Yes, the parking lot needs to be connected on the entrance side. Otherwise, you know, if I'm driving here, I have to drive all the way through my, or I have to turn this and then go like this, and it's not efficient that way. And we want to enter from somewhere here. Now, even if you want to enter here, that's okay too. Depending on whether or not you have enough space. You want to try to route people through this and see, oh, I need to go out that way if I want to park. And if I want to drop people off, now whether that's a car or a bus, I could go around and then just go back, right? I wouldn't necessarily need to go through this this drop off at all if I choose to park or either drop people off and then leave. So you would want to simplify the circulation by creating an entrance somewhere here or there, depending on where you have space. Okay, and this will be its own thing without any connection there. So your drop off, the car drop off, will be a smaller one over here, and then it goes dropping people off and then go out, either here or if I want to do it there, that's okay too. I think your first step would actually be hashing out the details of your parking lot to assess how much space is necessary, and then work on these connections. Okay. Stairs look okay. Walls needs to be attached to the building for now, not for the final submission. You still have the details. Will wait until later. But work on this portion, and then that portion, or no, work on these connections later. If you found you actually need more space, you could push this out a little bit to this flatter area. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me try to rotate this drawing first. So, I remember this drawing, and I know you probably did not get a lot of feedback because on Tuesday we do not have the contour, so we didn't know where the elements are placed. So I would say you probably need a little bit of dedicated time during the next few days working on this because we really need to get you to a good foundation because this is the foundation for the whole project. You know, we need to have a good base map for the following lectures and exercises for calculating the runoff, for kind of developing the final grading. And until we can get to that point, having a good base map, you would actually be asked and requested to make all the necessary changes because you need a good design to continue your drainage design and your grading of the final drainage elements. So definitely make sure that you work quite a bit during the next few days before final Monday submission. The big issue here is the building could not be here at all because you need to keep 50 feet away from the vegetation. You need a lower plaza, but right now here is actually a small mound, okay? A small mound which will make it very difficult for um, you wouldn't have any space either to create that plaza. So basically, the building needs to be somewhere here. Okay, on the base map, there's a circle saying, say it said, place building there, place the building over there, and we need to utilize all the flat area over here to do the parking lot and drop off thing. And these parking lot dimensions needs to be correct. 10 by 20 is the one that we recommended. You can go a little bit smaller to 9 by 18, but start with 10 by 20. And if somehow space is limited, then you could opt for a smaller parking lot size. So I would say decide on whether you want to go. No, you have probably seen two standardized designs with the variations, right? One is double-sided loading, double loaded parking. The other one is single loaded parking, and you can mirror where your drop off is in on this side or that side. But the typical design that we have seen is you would have a drop off of some sort, a single loaded parking lot somewhere here, or you would have a double loaded, which is a kind of a more squared double loaded parking lot shape, right? And then your building is somewhere over here. No, potentially out the page. And or moving forward toward here a little bit, depending on whether you want, how you would like the parking lot orientation to be. So make a decision about whether you want to try the double loaded or single loaded. And then start putting these in their correct dimension in it. Make this a set and that one a block, and then start moving it around, offsetting this and offsetting that, and then work on driveways that connect these elements. Does that make sense? So I wonder if Adam is here. Let me take a look. All right, so yeah, if any of you lives with Adam, please let him know. I should have checked if he's in the room. Let's see. How this is about 10:25, which means it will be 85 minutes into the recording. Make a note here, so make sure he watches the video at about 85 minutes into the recording. Okay. I have a chat over here. Sorry, Joseph. I just saw your comment about speaking a little louder. I will try to do that for the rest of the reviews. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, I guess I was a little far away from my computer. I was talking to my iPad. Okay. Annotation, clear, and moving forward. I have Haley's drawing here. You zoom in. So current parking setup work. Your current parking setup, depending on the dimensions, I would say there's some, if you can end, Haley, are you here? Oh, I see.
This is actually mine.
Ah, my bad.
No, you're good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I would say this this driving aisle is only for that side of the parking lots, so it's less efficient. If we end here, it will be more. It will be more. Be less paved area for the same amount or for the similar amount of parking lot number, right? So let's try to end the parking lot there. Basically, that would mean I would have something like this, right? And then, no, that may be where you enter the parking lot. And these are double loaded, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you would have about, 6 to 7 spots per row. Okay. If you have 7, then you have 42, making exactly 2 ADA and A38 regular. So that's enough. But I would also make sure that you have the dimensions correct, because this is going to be a pretty wide design, right? And we did talk about why this is. Oh, yeah, we're having Frogger issues. We actually wanted to rotate it so these, the driving aisle is actually oriented toward your building. Yeah, so I take that back. You can have the layout, but you do need to rotate that for 90 degrees. Does that make sense? So you do need to rotate the whole thing 90 degrees, meaning that if you want to have this layout, you would have to have a pretty long parking lot in this direction, which might be difficult. You can see I'm getting into the vegetation area, and I still have to fit in my drop off in this area. So you may find that you have to make that narrower, so opting for actually 4 rows of parking in this direction. Does that make sense? So we'll probably have to do a 4 row back like this, and rotate it. Each one have 10 parking lots, and rotate it so I would have a shorter or narrower parking lot layout like this. Let me actually erase this so that it doesn't appear so confusing. There. Let's see. We'll do that, but it's like this. And I would have about 10 per row there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have this turnaround drop off over here, and you kind of have to enter from here to the first driving aisle. Let me erase this so that it's less confusing. Yeah, I did not round any corners yet. Then this area would have another drop off for the car, and I think the relationship would work. If you run tight in this space, you can move the whole thing forward and move the building back a little bit, because we would want a relatively steeper area for the building anyway for that 10-foot difference. Okay? Is where we have our stairs right now a good spot? Yeah, that's a reasonable spot for stairs for now. You don't need stairs on both sides, just one side. Yeah, should pushing the building further would help you stay away from the tree. Retaining wall would be here and there. So let me erase my building here. Retaining wall will be here and there. Okay. If you have a stair, then retaining wall will be on the side of the stairs instead. So I'm gonna erase that line. That's where your retaining wall should be at this stage. Okay. Any other questions for this one?
No, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Now we have Haley's. Okay. Hey, Haley. All right. This is. I think we had similar designs before, and this is progress from Tuesday, so that's good. Are the retaining walls in okay? I did mention to a few other students that retaining walls you definitely need it on the side of the building, but you don't necessarily need it for the entire plaza. You won't know exactly where you would need it until you get to the contours, but oh, why did it not show up? Annotate, please. That's weird. It doesn't allow me to annotate. Try again. Okay, now we have it. So yes, you would need your ramp is not long enough, as we mentioned. It needs to be 200 feet long. Okay, so you need to find a longer curved line or a straight line with different segments. You don't need ramp for both sides. You just need ramp for one side. Retaining wall would just need to be on the side of the stairs or the building itself. Stairs, if you calculate 20 steps, you would need 2 flight, which you actually have laid out correctly. I would not leave a huge kind of resting place between these 2 flights, so you want to try to space it out, having maybe 7 steps per flight of stairs, making 2 rest areas. Okay, so those are about the retaining walls and the stairs. It's not the building have a 10-foot elevation. It's at the front entrance and the backyard. If we draw in cross section, will be, oh, I'm going up to my building. That's my first floor. It's very similar to what we did. And then that's my second floor. Oh no, the bottom floor. So this is draining away, and actually this needs to be draining away too. So in cross section, that needs to be draining away too. That's the front plaza, back plaza. That's the TFFE, and that is the BFFE. And those two are 10 feet apart. Okay, so that means this distance, come on, that distance is 10 feet apart. But the building it depends on what this height is, right? The building height would be these two arrows adding together. So now looking in cross section would help you understand where the wall should be, right? Wall should be on the side of the building. Okay. And my roundabout big enough. It's in a pretty. I would say the shape would need some work. Okay, depending on where you want your drop off to be. If you watched Sandeep's review, if you want to drop off to be on this side where people get off, that will have a straight segment. If you want to drop people off from that side, then you would have a straight segment on this side. So basically, we would have a smoother curve for people to drive over. I'm demonstrating if you have a drop off on this side. So I'm coming to a straighter, and then I'm coming out of the drop off, and then I need to go perpendicular to that driveway and then come out back. Okay, so your shape actually is not a perfect. It's more of an ellipse with straight segments for where you drop people off and where you come back to the intersection. But overall, you would aim for a diameter of about 550, a radius about 55 to 50 feet. Okay, so that will make it big enough. The drop off here needs to be a roundabout, okay, because you come in and I drive and then I come back, and all these needs to be two way. So 235, again, go back to 235 grading for that parking lot design and the roundabout, then use that one. Otherwise, this needs to be a perpendicular connection, right? And you don't really need that long sidewalk over there. Check if you have enough parking spaces there. The relationships looks good to me. Okay, once we put this in, you may not have enough length. So then we talked about moving the building this way to make enough space or curving it more, right? So those are some potential solutions. All right. Anything else that you want to ask here?
No, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Keep going. We have Marcelo's here. Okay, I see you're there. Okay, let me zoom in. So, the vegetation layer question, no, the TAs will give you the best answer because they know the layer in and out. ADA parking spots. Yeah, we talked about ADA parking lot to be represented by. What did the pencil do? So let me do this instead. I know the dimension, the proportion is sort of not correct. But if you have 3 regular parking lots, you basically add one line in between for these and then hash it. That's how you represent 2 ADA spots. Okay? That's that. The relationship looks good to me. I think it's the details that you need to work on now. We asked for 40 parking spots. I think we have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have more. We have more than necessary. So we can reduce the number of parking spots here. And the driving, the connection needs to be, changing back to curved line. It needs to be like this. Yeah, it's a little too short here. Well, maybe it's okay. Looks like it's okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's still more than 50 feet, so it's okay there. I would recommend putting some more space over there, basically meaning that I can do this. Then I would have some cushion space here for green. At least. Yeah, at least having that. Well, even better if we can do this. I don't know how close we're getting. We're probably getting a little too close there. So look for spaces maybe in this direction. Rotate this a little bit. Then you have some more space. I know you wanted to try to orient this to that, but if we'll just tilt it a little bit, that's not too bad. We're actually probably more better oriented towards the building plaza. So explore turning your parking lot this direction, and then you would create more space. Create more space for your drop off over here. Measure this and see if that's 50, and then decide on whether I want to rotate this. So I have some green in between my drop off and my parking lot. Otherwise, is actually the details like, okay, if for instance, I'm gonna clear everything. Clear. The parking lot design, for instance, you would not need that space in your parking lot, right? We drive, we drive, and then we get into the drop-off area. And then we can come out. Actually, if I don't need any parking lot over here, yeah, my drawing is a little crooked. It should be like this. And then come out. All these would not be part of the parking lot. It could be part of the plaza instead, right? Yeah, this it can be even smaller, I guess. I think, yes, because these are 2 cars. You only need to park 1 car. So you could even reduce that. That move. But you get my idea. So those areas are not necessary. Think about where you would need cars to be parked and where you don't have any people or cars on the parking lot, and then that portion would not be necessary. The same thing here. We would need to enter there. So then that's green. right? That doesn't need to be, but you have another turnaround here like this. Okay, so the boundary of the parking lot, we often find that students have much difficulty deciding what needs to be part of the parking lot and what doesn't need to be. But the basic principle would be thinking cars drive here, people need to walk there. If neither functions are necessary in that location, that space is out of the parking lot. Okay. Um, Here you would think about, for instance, this corner, right? For one thing, when you do pavement, you want to have a perpendicular relationship. If you need that space, I would not need that acute angle there. I would probably stop here and then do a perpendicular line. So I would get rid of that portion, and that's sort of my where people get up. That's where people get up. Here, right? And then I would only need that portion for my plaza space. So it's those little details when you start connecting lines, those are the things that you think about. The same thing here, we round it for it to be 90 degrees. And here, this is relatively more, no perpendicular. So it's not an exact turn. It's more like an egg shaped kind of island. All right. Any other questions about this one?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Great. We talked about the stairs and retaining wall, so I didn't repeat that. So hopefully you caught that from other reviews. All right, and then, okay, last one. This is Jacob's. Okay, plaza too much? Yes, it is too big. Too much concrete? Yes, definitely. Here, although it is a design choice, right? Is it a design choice? If you really say, okay, my client, or I think that the design better have a big plaza space. Yes, definitely, you can choose to design a big one. But places, but think about where people would be. Okay, this is the design portion of it. Where people walk and where are the places that are not as functional and would be too much paved space, right? So, for instance, if I were to do an analysis, I would say, okay, if people are dropped off here, those are my walking space, right? And people are dropped off, for instance, somewhere here. Turn around. Dropped off somewhere here. Those are my walking space. I would not use that walkway. So that's my plaza, and I have another big plaza of that shape. What do I use that for? This huge plaza will need a lot of, you wouldn't need to have, you would not have enough space between that and that, okay? So definitely try to keep 50 feet away from this vegetation for a plaza, and then think about how to divide your plaza space. The plaza would not extend down. This is the lower plaza. If otherwise, you would need a lot of retaining walls and field to make it work, and we don't think that's necessary for a small building like ours. Okay, so a few other things. You would want to separate this more clearly between this and that. Okay, so that you wouldn't have people very quickly turning into here or being confused about how who has the right way when I'm at this point. Okay, and then you have people parked here as well, and the the parking and driving out will interfere with this. So we need to better separate these two aisles, and that might require you to push your building down. And so we have this. That is not enough radius. Check out the bus, the size of the bus, and the the width of that for bus drop-offs. Um, this needs to be better separated out with a clear connection and then your single loaded parking lot. If necessary, we push this back or we curve it. Let's not have parking lot here in between because it will, again, when I'm driving out, when there's a car kind of coming in this way, you're creating a lot of issues for both people. Okay, let's simplify it. And this is strictly just a drop off. And if I need to park for a little bit of time, I may park over here, but at the same time, another people may be able to drive away. So 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 it wouldn't require people to back out and then keep driving to get out of these parking lots. So those are the few things that needs to be changed. Retaining wall goes here. Yes, retaining wall goes there. Yes. I suspect that you would run into space issues with the length of the parking lot, so maybe you would need to curve it. Does that make sense, Jacob?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other things you want to discuss?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I am going to pause here and take a little break then. If any of you need other advice, I will be here. Okay?